to the Susan Brender Show. Today we have an exciting show with my friend and author Amos Knoll of Knoll Publishing. Amos has written amazing books like The Chubby Conqueror, Mama, Why Am I Black, and Max the Red-Haired Dragon, to name a few. Along with Amos is his friend Mary Fry, whom I'm so excited to have as a guest as well. Mary will be working on projects with Amos and his books. Mary, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and highlight what you like about Amos's books? Also, I want to say to Amos and to tell people how they can get in touch with you. This is for both Mary and for Amos. How do they get in touch with you?
I started out in casting and sort of covered all my bases to become a filmmaker and writer producer. My last biggest project was with Michael Shannon, Kate Hudson, Zach Braff, Don Johnson. It's a dark comedy that should be out within the year. I'm currently working on a couple of things. One is a travel show for a major network about coffee and motorcycles. We'll probably start filming that around March. And another is a film with 2 Oscar-winning actors. It will be in Farsi and English, and it's a road trip drama between a husband and wife and sort of the ups and downs of their marriage, so to speak, as they're in the car going across country. And I work a lot in Spanish language TV and film, and then just a variety of projects. The focus is really on movie and series that focus on diversity in general. First of all, they highlight for each one of us to celebrate who we are, no matter what that is, gender, color, et cetera. So I want to bring those books to life on screen. Movies, but also series as well. And, family friendly, little children, my granddaughters, everyone's grandchildren can watch them, and that's the goal. Oh, you can contact me. Email is the best. greatfilms1@gmail.com, and that's greatfilms1@gmail.com. Thank you.
And if anybody wants to contact me, all you got to do is go to Amos, A-M-O-S, at Knoll, K-N-O-L-L, publishing.com. Thank you.
Let me ask you something again, Mary. We're living in a really crazy time, and a lot of children can't go to school. Now, if they read these books, they'll learn a lot, don't you think?
Yes. I started out as a teacher. So, and I taught English as a second language and Spanish. So I had multi-ethnic children in my class. And I think a lot of my desire to bring his books to life comes from that. So you have these little children from lots of different countries just wanting to feel like they belong and like they can contribute to society just as they did in their own countries. So now we'll bring it to the classroom. And if it's on screen, I think kids can identify it. They'll see lots of children who look like they do, who sound like they do, all the weights, shades, shapes, and sizes. And it's the next logical progression. And then, we would talk about it later, but you could probably develop curriculum around that for schools.
Now that leads me to talking to you, Amos, because you've created these books from actually just the desire to write and to really tell stories. Now, hold up your books for me because I want people to see them.
Well, the first book I'm going to show is The Chubby Conqueror. That's the one Mary is working with me on the movie. Right. And the reason Mary is doing it, I spoke to different producers because I feel she can interpret my feelings, not just writing a script, but it's putting my feelings into it the way I really feel. And she has that. Plus, originally, quite a few years ago when we met, I asked her to help me out to make part of a script. So she did it. She never charged me for it. And that's how you show loyalty.
Well, you said, Amos, you said that you have a theme from this book. Describe the book to our audience.
The Chubby Conqueror is basically a book of motivation and innovation. It's obesity seen through the eyes of a 12-year-old boy. When the book came out, one day I was watching television, and again, this has nothing to do with politics. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent. Obesity is an equal opportunity menace to all of us. Yeah, today, when you find kids that have the same problems as elderly people, enlarged hearts, diabetes, etc., etc., and we know what the problems are, just to give you an idea. And this is also why I think the movie is going to be extremely successful. We have in America 71% that are overweight and obese, which is about 250 million of us, a lot of people, of which 25 million are our kids. And there's no end in sight. Forget about all that stuff you watch on television. Most of it is hype, okay? You watch all, and I also believe Mary also did for me a presentation for some, for product placement. And here I can see a lot of companies coming across healthy food, the different things they would put up because that's marketing for them. But sure, more important, it's to get the message out to the kids. That's the key. The book also, Mrs. Obama had a campaign, Let's Move campaign. It's about healthy kids.
Right.
And when I was watching on television one day, I said, you know, I love to write. Let me write a book, The Chubby Conqueror. Again, no matter what you're going to do, no matter what the intent, you will always find somebody criticizing. So the first letter I got was from a doctor and saying, you are disgusting. How can you use the word chubby conqueror? That's terrible.
Oh. Why would he say something like that, Amos?
Because everybody has their opinion. And she thought the word chubby conquered, the word chubby. You know, I don't care if you call it fat, obese, or fat or chubby. It's the same thing. Today, everything has to be politically correct. In all honesty, I don't care about political correctness. I'm going to say what's in my mind. If you don't like it, that's your problem, not my problems. Now, when a few weeks ago, I was in a restaurant with my wife, and a waitress came up. She must have been in the late 40s, but she had beautiful blue shining eyes. I mean, it's like strikes you. And I looked at her and I said, oh, you have the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen. I really meant it.
Yeah.
And she felt like embarrassed because my wife was next to me. And I said, I hope I'm not embarrassing you. She said, no. I said, but I know that, but nobody ever tells me that. Yeah. So what I try to do, even with my books, like in The Chubby Conqueror, I know if when the movie is going to come out, and that's why I'm working with investors right now. I'm syndicating it. Kids will be impressed with it. They really will be. It's not, the book is nice. If you go through the book, you got about 200 pages. Most of my books, by the way, are short stories with a lot of pictures. This book is really meant for parents and the kids. And a lot of kids that read it from 10 years old, I'm talking about they can read this type of books. They said, oh my God. I even had one guy call me up and he said, he was apparently an addict. He says, boy, I really want to try to do something about it. Nothing to do with obesity.
I'm going to stop you, Amos. I'm going to ask you the following question. You know, we had Sesame Street and we had Mr. What was his name again? You know, let's start with the Sesame Street.
Right.
Sesame Street.
Mr. Nachos?
Yeah, right. Started from years and years ago with an idea of using puppets to tell stories. Now, were you influenced by them? Because look at what they've done and how successful they are. And I'm going to ask the same thing to you, Mary, because, you know, I'm sure that you watched Sesame Street. I did with my kid, and it had so much influence on the way people thought and the way people felt. It was a wonderful and marvelous thing. So, Mary, is Amos's books an inspiration for what is happening in our country today?
I think they're an inspiration, and I'm going to add a common theme is the books deliver the message to children that they are the future, that they need to be proactive with their health, their mental health, their physical health. So with the Chubby Conqueror, it's not saying everybody needs to be, stick thin, but it is saying we do need to be healthy. Our generation, as it's strokes and heart attacks and things like that from the things we love to eat back in the day. But the Chubby Conqueror, part of his message as the boy is not just to become more fit, to be able to keep up with things in school, but also to sort of re-educate his parents on what is a healthy diet for them. He didn't want his parents to be ill or unhealthy.
Right.
So I see the common theme, like as Sesame Street, is we need to celebrate who we are. We need to accept who we are, but also it's okay to better ourselves and be proactive for the future.
Mm-hmm. Now, Amos, you've written the book Mama, and I want you to hold up that book, because that book really influenced me, because it's so absolutely appropriate for what's going on in our country today with Black Lives Matter and all the different things. Now, what gave you the inspiration to write that? And not only write it, but to think about how important it is for our kids to understand this.
All you have to do is open the television. All they talk about is race, race. The moment you disagree with somebody, you're racist. What message does it give to the kids? I don't care if you're black, white, pink, yellow with yellow polka dots. You gotta teach the kids, because even the question you asked Mary before, was I influenced or she influenced by Sesame Street? We all, you, me, everybody, to some extent gets subconsciously, it did probably have an effect on me. Not that I can really think about it right now, but it does. When you watch war movies or you watch a love story, everything that you touch and see has influence on you. Your brain can interpret it in different ways. So the book, Mama, Why Am I Black? It's actually, the whole sentence in the book is, Mama, why am I black, not white like you? Now, I knew when I'm going to write down, Mama, why am I black? Right away, everybody's going to jump. I'll give you a cute story. 2 months ago, when I had the prototype book, I was invited to a summer camp. There were mostly Black and Hispanic and intermarriage kids over there. And when I started talking about the book and Mama, why am I black? I'm going to admit something. I was standing there. First, the kids, here's another guy we got to listen to. And I was talking about, and I told it, and I explained it to the kids. It's about a white woman from Europe who's Jewish. She has blonde hair, red hair, and blue eyes. And she marries a man from Ethiopia who's dark-skinned, brown. And the mother explains to him, you were created from the best of your mother and father. That's why you got such beautiful red hair and blue eyes. And that's why you have such beautiful brown skin. And that's why you're so smart and handsome. You could see in the kids' faces, I mean, just like lighting up. They had a lot of pride. And I shouldn't say it. My eyes actually got watery. I would probably should have gone like that. But it really, just watching the kids gave me a lot of enjoyment. So I felt that book would be tremendous to get it out to the public. And the response, few people told me, even teachers, hey, you got to get it into the school. It doesn't talk about politics. It talks about the real life, who we really are. And that's why the book is going to be extremely successful. By the way, all my books have a story behind them.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
this book has a very good message, and it's getting the message across, and that's what's important.
Mary, what do you envision for the project that you're going to work with Amos on? Because there's so many books and there's so many messages that he's giving. So the question becomes, how are you going to narrow it down and tell the story? Are you going to do it through a movie or a television program. You mentioned it at the beginning, but I'm really interested in having our audience know what to look forward to.
So the business model can go either way. The original intent was with the movie, with the Chubby Conqueror, and it can work that way. You put the movie out, it gathers interest, and then in the business world of investors, they will either, you can say, well, there's, 63 books, we can do a series, educational series, and then you pitch it to Netflix, Hulu, etc. Or the original pitch could be as a series. It can work either way. And all of these streaming online platforms, by the way, need content. And they're begging for content that is about inclusion, that shows all the races that we have and ethnicities that we have. So I think it would be easy to get this on screen. And then it's just really, Amos and I will discuss that. Investors might have a little input as to what we start out with, a series or a movie, either one.
Right.
Yeah.
Amos, of all the books that you are showing us, okay, and I want you to show most of your books, what really makes your heart stand out, makes it feel so good, because you know that you're teaching people all kinds of things, and our kids deserve something special. So which one would you say is your favorite?
Well, I put it to you like that. I have two girls, Debbie, my daughters, Debbie and Tammy. Why don't you ask me which one I love more? I love them the same.
Yeah.
And I know what you're asking me. When I write any of my books, I really enjoy what I'm doing. As I'm writing it, I just go away and I write them. My spelling is terrible, then I have to use spell check and all that stuff.
Right.
And when I wrote the book, Mama, Why Am I Black? Let's say I watch television. Next to the television, I have a little pad, and I see somebody doing something or saying something. I just, oh, that's a good idea, and I write it down. And then later on, I go to the computer and I write the story, literally. And for me, writing is really enjoyment, and especially when I love being in front of a big audience. I don't know if it's my accent or whatever. People like to listen to me. And I love when I'm in front of an audience. People like to ask me, question. And I think, keep it coming. I don't need a piece of script in front of me. I just tell them, I'll answer just what I'm doing right here.
Amos, let me ask you something. What are some of the questions that people ask you? Because that's important for us to know, because when we know what people are thinking about, it's a kind of wonderful thing that you have some answers that are all about your book. So tell us what some of the questions are.
I'll give you the worst ones and the best one.
Okay.
In the book, like in the Chubby Conqueror, we talked about, I was told, how can I write? It's terrible, the wording they use. That's the worst. On the other hand, 99.9% say, oh my God, it's so encouraging. What kind of a diet do you think we should do? I said, look, I'm not a doctor. I can advise you. I can give you certain ideas. I'm writing things, because all my life too, I went up, I went down, I went up, I went down. We all do, okay? But the message I'm trying to give to the kids is what's in your mind. You got to have a mindset. So you got to make an incentive to the kids. So when the kids feel that, you don't have to make fun of him, you're fat or you're obese or you're heavy. Ask them, don't you want to do what this kid is doing? Here's how you can do it. I use that book as an example, the movie Rocky, right? He was the underdog. And I give the example as far as the movie. Now, I learned a lot from Mary, I have to admit it. And I watch a lot of movies, old movies. I happen to enjoy them. And sometimes I laugh about how melodramatic they are. But you learn from them, literally. And I remember Mary, we worked on a budget. And she said, Amos, you've got to make it higher. And I asked her why. She said, try to work with union. I says, why? She says, because the unions, they can help distribute the movie.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you want to be with them. And she was for union, which was fine. Now, I used to be a shop steward, the vice president of the AFL-CIO in New York. many, many years ago.
Right.
So I'm familiar with unions. So I said, that's a great idea. Then I had a question for her. I says, Mary, why do we have to use very known actors? I remember watching The Twilight Zone in the 50s, 60s. Like there was a character by the name of William Shatner. He got paid $50 to $75 a show. Then you had a guy named Redford, a nobody. He got paid. The idea was to get the name out there. So I said to Mary, Mary, there are so many talented actors, directors, or different people, right? Why didn't we use them? Not because only it's going to save us money, but it's opportunity. We're giving them the opportunity to be out to the public. And if they're good, people are going to catch on. And that's how they're going to become famous. As a matter of fact, we should charge them money to get them out there. But on the serious side, so those are the kind of discussions we're having, for example. As a matter of fact, from her experience, I bet you if she wanted to, I would have no problem with her directing the movie. Because Mary,
I think you're making, I have to tell you, I think you're making a great decision, but it's almost the end of the show. And I'd like you to have the last word, if you may. Mary, what do you want to tell our audience about what you're planning and what you're going to be doing so that they know when to look for it?
Look forward. I would say within the year, because it takes time to edit, you know, for the whole process from start to finish, a series about inclusion, multiracial, multinational, many languages. I think we can bring it into the schools, and it'll be exciting for children. Each one will know they belong. Each one will know that they are a part of the future.
And what about you, Amos? What message would you like to leave our audience?
I would go a step further what Mary said. A lot of parents are impressed with it because it's the same message, because as we become older, we forget the basics, right? When you walk and you see, years ago, when you used to see a black man with a white woman, everybody would look. Today, it's nothing special. So it's a set of minds. It really is. And I think the movie is going to be tremendously big. And by the way, Mary, I wasn't joking. I would have no problems you directing it. Because
there you go.
And I'll tell you why, because sometimes, and the reason I'm working with you is because I know that you can interpret what's in my heart. Not just the words, but the feeling behind it. It's just like you look at some classical movies, even so it looks phony today to compare to what they have, but you can get the feeling. Even a movie like Mrs. Smith Goes to Washington, it's like today. We didn't change, but the message was there.
That's right. Well, I have two people on my show today who are very interesting and very, very inspiring, because I'm going to kind of tell my audience to watch whatever they do. If it takes a year, no problem. We want you to be successful. So thank you so much, Amos Knoll and Mary Fry, for being on the Susan Brender Show. It's really a pleasure to have you on.
It's been a pleasure being here with you again, Susan.